Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar. Sorry, brother.
Good. Sham is the monsoon, the dark monsoon cloud. Sham Sundar. He has the beautiful complexion like the beautiful monsoon cloud. Mm. Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai.
Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol.
Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Nitai Haribol.
Haribol, thank you so much. You did wonderful. Next time you have to lead. Very nice. So thank you so much, all the worshipable devotees, for joining. So we have Murli Prabhu, Abhishek Prabhu, Anita and Vinita Mataji, Sampada Mataji, Preeti Vadhva Mataji, Vijay Mataji, Kartik Prabhu, Lakshay, Vipul Prabhu, and Bhaswati Mataji. And we also have Jill. Jill, do you mind telling a little bit about yourself, like how you got to know about this and where are you joining from? If you could unmute and speak, we would love to welcome you with in this program. So, can you tell a little bit about yourself? Okay, maybe some other time, I guess. So, so shall we begin? What do you all say? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gurve Gaurachandraya, Radhikaya Tadalaya, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha, Namaha Pankajanaabhaya, Namaha Pankajamaline, Namaha Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangri, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam, यज्ञै सङ्कीर्तनप्रायैर्जन्तिः सुमेधसः ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यामनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. Malinemopchanam pumsam jalasnana dine dine sakrit Gita snanam samsara malanashanam. So last time we were discussing the first 10 verses of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, entitled Transcendental Knowledge, Jnana Yoga. So, anyone remembers any one or two points from our discussion last week? You want to share? Anyone remembers anything from last time? From the first 10 verses? That's the beauty of Kali Yuga, because every time we hear it appears fresh. because it's hard to remember what we discussed yesterday, what to speak of last week, right? Therefore, some everything appears fresh. Yes, who wants to say? Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we discussed, I remember something, we discussed 9 stages of bhakti last time.
Yes, that was one of the things we discussed in text number 10. Prabhupada mentioned about the 9 stages of bhakti. Very good. And we discussed an acronym to understand that. SS BAN, BAN, RABP, RABP. So, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, the impurities will go gradually.
Nishtha,
Then
Rusi, Asakti,
Asakti, Bhav, and Prem.
Bhav and Prem. Yeah.
Anyone else remembers any other point? Thank you. That's wonderful, Abhishek Prabhu. Avni, what do you remember from last time?
We talked about why Krishna comes down to earth from shloka 4.7 and 4.8 and 4.9.
Very good. Yes, to reestablish the principles of religion. Very nice. Lakshya, what do you remember?
I remember that like we talked about the 9 stage of bhakti, and that the beginning stage is having faith in Krishna, and then how we go up
Mhm. Very good. Nita?
Hare Krishna, we talked about the parampara system and how Krishna can remember his births and the Christian souls,
Yes. You remember the verse from that? It's a nice verse in 4.2, right? And that's in your memory verse also, correct?
Yeah. Evam paramparata. Is it?
Mm-hmm. Imam Rajarshayo viduhu sakalena mata yogo nashta parantapa. Right? And Krishna gave this knowledge millions of years back to whom? Yes, Vedi?
Well, is it the sun god?
Sun God, Vivaswan. Very nice. And we discussed the lifespan also. If you remember, we discussed all those calculations, the lifespan of Brahma, the Manus, etc. So, in the first, this acronym is ears. The transcendental knowledge, which is the title of this chapter, is obtained via ears. This is the process of Shruti. Shruti means to hear. We cannot see God with our eyes. We can see God through ears. Bhakti means to see God through ears. And it's a very, very interesting actually. I was working on a project. I had to travel to another city. And this was a nice gentleman who was working in this assembly plant, manufacturing plant. And they're allowed to hear, they're like, assembly workers, they're allowed to hear what they want to hear of course, if it should not be inappropriate content, in the sense if they want to hear Bollywood music, they can hear Bollywood music. If they want to hear Hollywood music, they can while working, because there's more like manual work. But one gentleman was hearing about Bible, and I was just happened to be working besides him at that time for that 10-15 minutes. And I was so amazed that he was hearing about religion and some bona fide stuff in English language, so I could understand what he was hearing. And over there also, he was hearing the same point, that the process of getting understanding of God is not through eyes but through ears. So I was really amazed that all the religions, if one follows them in a true perspective, they will come to the right understanding. That is love of Godhead. So the acronym for chapter 4 to understand transcendental knowledge is ears. And the first 10 verses we discuss about E for eternal knowledge or eternal knowledge of the absolute. Okay. The Bhagavad Gita is eternal. It is not just was spoken 5,000 years back. And transparent in transmission of transcendental teachings leads to transformation of heart. If there is no transparent medium, it will lead to turbulence and turmoil in the society. And that's also happening because of bogus gurus. Now let's come to the next part of today's discussion, which is A, the EA. A is accurate understanding. A lot of misconception in the society. Is there one God? Everyone is God. I am God. You are God. We can become God. That's one common misconception. Then about demigods. They are supreme. Is Ganesha supreme? Shiva supreme? Parvati supreme? Who is supreme? Whom to ask? Whom not to ask? That's another misconception. Another misconception is in the society is that whatever you do, you will get the same result, right? It's like you buy any plane ticket, you'll go to New York, right? You buy any plane ticket, you'll go to New York, right? Is that correct? No, the ticket you buy, the destination you get. So very, very simple, but a lot of misconceptions are there. So Krishna will clarify all those misconceptions in these following verses. And the A is for accurate understanding or real understanding, which we understand through eternal Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstatthaiva bhajamyaham mam vartamananuvartante manushya partha sarvashah. Yes, who wants to read this? Yes, Avni.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. This is a very, very nice word that Krishna has a very nice reciprocal relationship with everyone. That how we approach him, he will reciprocate accordingly. In short, if someone approaches Krishna as just a stone, then he'll reciprocate as a stone. One time, I'll tell you a story. One time a person was doing arti, offering incense, but he did not have that faith. He used to think, is God really there? He was doing arti, offering incense, but nothing was happening. He was having some lot of material desires also. Those desires were not getting fulfilled. So he thought, I have wasted like hundreds of dollars in getting these expensive agarbatti incense. Now no more offering agarbatti, no more offering incense. Rather than offering incense, I will not even let God, deity, to get the fragrance of the incense. So he took some cotton balls and put in deity's nostrils. Mhm. So I'll not let the deity experience that. And that day, the Supreme Lord appeared in front of him. And he was amazed that why, what happened today? And so Krishna replied that today actually you thought of me as a person. Earlier you were thinking me just as some dead stone, dead metal. So as we approach God, Krishna, he will reciprocate accordingly. Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Now that does not mean that, if I think God as light, then God will act as a in that way. He'll not open up the full. He will not give the full understanding. So Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in this transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. Very, very nice. So in short, if someone wants Krishna as his friend, then Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If someone wants Krishna as his father, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If someone wants Krishna as his child, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. If someone wants Krishna as his master, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. And there are so many examples. I would like all of us to read this one section from Krishna book, actually. Krishna book, this is when Krishna enters Mathura, chapter number 43 in Krishna book. So would someone like to read these highlighted text? Yes, Vinita Mataji, please. Very, very important here. Let's pay attention.
When Krishna entered the wrestling arena and with
Can you
Balaram,
speak a little louder? It's very faint.
when Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and their friends, he appeared differently to different people according to their different relationships, rasas with him. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and all kinds of rasas, both favorable and unfavorable. He appeared to the wrestlers exactly like a thunderbolt. To the people in general, he appeared as the most beautiful personality. To the females, he appeared to be the most attractive male, Cupid personified, and thus he increased their lust. The cowherd men who were present there looked upon Krishna as their own kinsmen coming from the same village of Vrindavan. The impious Kshatriya kings who were present saw him as the strongest ruler and their chastiser. To the parents of Krishna, Nanda, and Yashoda, he appeared to be the most loving child. To Kamsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, he appeared to be death personified. To the unintelligent, he appeared to be an incapable personality. To the yogis present, he appeared to be the supersoul. To the members of the Vishnu dynasty, he appeared to be the most celebrated descendant. Thus appreciated differently by different kinds of people present, Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and his cowherd boyfriends.
Thank you. Isn't this amazing? Did you like this section? So many people are present. Just imagine this wrestling arena, and to everyone, Krishna is appearing differently. Why? This verse, Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I will reciprocate. If you want to approach with the spirit of fighting, then I'll be the best fighter. If you want me to love as, if you want I to become your child, then I'll become your child. If you want me to become your master, I'll become your master. If you want me to become your servant, I'll become your servant. We are interestingly, we are reading this section in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, where Krishna is mentioning that he likes actually the higher rasas. He likes himself to be subordinate to his devotee more than someone thinking, oh, you're God, you're protector, you're master. That's fine. But of course, we don't have to artificially imitate that. So the point here is that Krishna has reciprocal relationship according to the degree of the surrender and the attitude of the devotee. And he will reciprocate accordingly. So very, very nice verse. And very nice, this section is very, very relevant. And even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like today only, if you heard the morning class by His Grace Prashant Mukund Prabhu, was mentioning that Lord Jagannath had the Gajavesha for his devotee Ganapati. The Brahmana had come who wanted to see the Lord in the elephant pose. Same way, there's a Jaipur deity is called Ram Gopal. That means Krishna showed the form of Rama. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the form of Ram to some devotees, to Krishna somewhere. And in one form, he has Shadbhuj, 2 hands holding bow and arrow, 2 hands holding flute, 2 hands holding Kamandala and the sannyasi danda. And we have also discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, actually all the avatars are there in the body of the Supreme Lord. So the way we approach, he will reciprocate accordingly. But we should approach, how we should really approach, we will discuss in the following verses. Whether we have all desires, no desires, or desires for liberation, one should render service to the Supreme Lord. Text 12. Kanchanantah karmana siddhim yajanta iha devataha Shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Yes, Lakshay, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So we just discussed that whether one has no desires, whether one has all desires, or any, one should worship the Supreme Personality of God. Now the question may come up, then why do people worship the demigods? Why do people...
Prabhuji, you are breaking.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, your voice is not clear.
Did it just happen, or was it like there?
Yes, Prabhuji, just happened.
Prabhuji, probably have to disconnect and connect back.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. It's better now.
Like fully okay or just mild better?
No, it's completely good now, Prabhuji.
Perfect. Okay, so sorry for the inconvenience. Let's get Yeah, so I was mentioning the question may come, then why do people worship the demigods? Here, desirous of fruitive activities, they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. So, because most people don't want pure bhakti. 99.9% of the population. If the question is asked that you'll get a new brand new luxury car and you'll get love of Godhead and you can choose between one, guess what will majority people choose? Or you'll get, let's say, $100,000 or $1 million and you'll get love of Godhead. What will majority people you choose? Right? It's money, right? No one wants love of Godhead except for a few rare souls. Even in the family of, in the assembly of devotees, we may say the goal is love of Godhead, but very, very few people live their lives uh, keeping that as the foremost priority. Now, that does not mean that we artificially give up things and stop taking care of the family, etc. That's not the meaning. But are we always keeping Krishna as the foremost? Or are we keeping the temporary things as the foremost? So, Prabhupada is mentioning here a point. The demigods are not different from God, but they are God's different part and parcel. So we have to understand this point that they are special representatives of the Lord, like Indra, Chandra, Surya. God is one, and the part and parcel are many. Very, very important point. 330 million demigods in them. For each, part of the, like there's this demigod in charge for this, the digestion. There's a demigod in charge for the movement of the eyebrows, Nimi, right? You say Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravrishaitam, right? The Palaka, or there's a demigod in charge for everything, for water department, sun department, air department, finance department, etc. But we have discussed, this point has come like multiple times in multiple chapters of Bhagavad Gita and in purports of Srila Prabhupada, that the demigods, we should respect them as children of God, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and not worship them independently, separate from the Supreme Lord. That is considered wrong. And what we should ask them is bhakti. We can ask them, even if we are praying to some demigod, Ganesha, Shiva, etc., we should only ask for that you help us to become a more sincere servant of the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu. Because they are all very, very sincere servants. In the Bhagavatam, we see anytime they have difficulty, where do they go? They go to Brahma, they go to Vishnu to help or to seek for blessings. In the whole Samudra Manthan Leela, which we recently read, the Lord is always there to help his devotees. The demigods are devotees of the Supreme Lord. But the problem is when people consider the demigods as independent or superior to the Supreme Lord. That's an offense, actually. That is not the right understanding. So this is about the verse about demigods. And if someone says, well, if I have material desires, whom should I go? Should I ask the demigods or should I ask the Supreme Lord? If I have material desires, anyone wants to say? What should we do? If someone wants to get a new job or new, anything, should they approach demigods or should they approach Krishna?
For anything, we should call Krishna.
Can you give some more details, Prabhu?
So, most important thing to remember the Krishna, especially at my level. So when I'm most of the time I don't remember Krishna. So remembering Krishna any way will be helpful for me. And the second thing is that if I want something, Krishna knows what is the best to give me, how much I can carry, how much I can tolerate. So ultimately that will be helpful for me because I don't see my future, but Krishna knows my future.
Very nice point. Thank you. So demigods gave what we want. Krishna gives what we need. Very, very important. A child may ask for, if a child is sick, a child may ask for a cold drink or a chocolate, but the parent who are compared to the God here, the child is compared to the Jiva, and the parent may not give that because the child is not ready, even though the child is asking. And when the child is ready to receive it, the parents will give it. So the same classic example is the story of Dhruva. Dhruva didn't want pure bhakti. He was not looking for pure bhakti. He was looking for a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. It comes in Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam. This story comes. He was upset with his stepmother. He wanted to get a kingdom very badly, very, very badly. Very intense desire to get kingdom, very sarvakama, very, very passionate about getting it. And then he met Narad Muni. Narad Muni said, why are you so angry about this situation? Come, I'll tell your father Uttanpad and he'll take care of it. He said, no, if you want to help me, otherwise, get out of my way. Pretty much, let me go to what I'm pursuing for. So Narad Muni tested his determination, 5-year-old boy, such intense determination, and then he chanted Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra, did fasting and all for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And then when Krishna not only gave him the kingdom, but purified the consciousness so that he can rule in the proper way. That's very important. So the Supreme Lord gives that. So in short, one should always serve the Supreme Lord in all aspects. Now we'll move to text number 13, which is also very, very important words. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. Yes, let's read this one. Yes, Vidhi.
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer being unchangeable. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So there are varnas and ashrama. Chatur varna maya srishtam. So the four, chatur means four, varna means the divisions. Often people, misunderstand this, that why are you talking about division? Why dividing? So, everyone is equal. This is not the meaning of this word. In a company, everyone is equal in the way, but they all have different job responsibilities, correct? It's not that the general manager and the janitor are doing the same work. Yes, everyone should be dealt with respect, as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. That's what the scriptures are telling. But it's not that all the people are doing the same work, right? In a hospital, doctor has a certain role, nurse has a certain role, pharmacist has a certain role, a person cleaning the floor has a certain role. It's not that one is, by the constitutional position, one is better than the other, but they all have a certain role. So this is what is in the scriptures also, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These systems are created, these divisions were created by the Supreme Lord himself. So, but they are for the proper functioning of the society. And now the question may come, is it by birth? Is it that the child of a Brahmana will always be a Brahmana? How many of you say yes? You can do a thumbs up if you say yes. The child of Brahmana will always be a Brahmana. No, that's all of you are very intelligent. And any example? Can anyone give? The child of Brahmana was not a Brahmana? Yes, Sampada Mataji.
I think Ravana was a child of Brahmana, but he was acting very like demon. So
Okay, very good.
Parshuram was son of Jamadagni and he was a Kshatriya. Son of Brahmana but Kshatriya.
Yes, that's also a classic example.
Dronacharya.
Hmm?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya, yeah, Dronacharya's son was Ashwathama, who's addressed as Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu. Hmm? Bandhu means friend. Like Vipul Prabhu is a doctor, and he's my dear friend. So that if, I'm Dr. Bandhu, but I'm not a doctor, right? So Dr. Bandhu does not become mean a doctor. Similarly, Brahma Bandhu does not mean a Brahmana, right? So just by being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean you become a Brahmana. So the point is that these can be changed. Now, there's a very nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, in Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 35. Someone wants to read this translation? It's very important in this regard.
Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to you.
So this is directly from Shastra. Directly in the translation, Narad Muni is speaking this verse in the Canto 7, that it is not by birth, rather it is by qualities. Guna, karma, qualities and actions. If one is, by wearing a thread, which is 25 paisa or 25 cents, whatever amount, $1, let's say, by that, one does not become a Brahmana, right? Similarly, by having a gun in one's pocket, one does not become Kshatriya, right? Shatra to give protection from the enemies, it's a Kshatriya. Nowadays, people may say, well, I have the Kshatriya spirit and I go in the forest and I hunt deers. No, the real Kshatriyas were they could, like even rip apart with their own hands the tiger with the hands. Can anyone do that these days? Shivaji Maharaj did that actually recently in the last week. It's because Adhikata Prabhu was telling that Shivaji Maharaj was ready to fight with a tiger for the pleasure of his guru. And they could really, they could rip apart the tiger. That much strength they had with their own hands, not with a gun or anything. So the point is by qualities. So we have to cultivate qualities. And Prabhupada wants, now these days the system is totally topsy-turvy, but we have to, Prabhupada said actually, the goal is Krishna consciousness is to make more and more Brahmanas. And that's what he did by giving the topmost Brahmanical culture, the cleanliness, purity, tolerance, steadiness, devotion. And then we have to transcend all these. The goal is not to become a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Similarly, the goal is not to become in the mode of goodness. In the same way, we have to transcend. But these are different ways. Even in any organization, we will see some structure. Even in a temple, there is some structure. Like there is a deity worship department, there's a cooking department, there's a book distribution department, there's a festival department. So some organization is required for the smooth functioning of the society, of the temple, of the community, of any place, of a school, of a hospital, of an organization. So this division is not to say one is better or one is less worthy of something, but rather to have a smooth functioning of the people or a group of people, which is done by the Supreme Lord himself. But the problem is we don't follow it. We artificially try to imitate. Prabhupada is mentioning a person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Very, very important point. is even above the Brahmanas. And the last, here it's mentioned. And the last, we will read this section of the purport as well, the last few lines. Someone wants to read this? Yes, Murli Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. And as Krishna is transcendental to the system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Supreme Lord and his pure devotees are transcendental to all these, right? So, like Krishna, it's not that, oh, he's a Vaishya, so he'll do Vaishya activities. So some people, take pride in that. Oh, we are also from that community and we are also from. So the Supreme Lord is transcendental too. Same with the pure devotees. Oh, he was born in the same city as I was. They're above all these. Or he has the same color of skin or speak the same language. Like Srila Prabhupada, they're all transcendental. Pure devotees are transcendental to all these. They may do things which like common people do, but same way the Supreme Lord may do the same things like common people may do, just to set the right example, but they are transcendental. So one should not think, oh, he's also like me. Thinking the Supreme Lord or the pure devotees as oneself or the spiritual master as an ordinary person in the who is succumbed to these material modes or material divisions is actually an offense. So one should never consider, oh, he's an Indian guru or he's an American guru or he's a London guru. It's not like that. So that's actually, or it's a white guru or black guru. This is because they're transcendental to all these resignations. So very, very important point. What to speak of the Supreme Lord. And that's actually explained in this verse. Let's read the text 14. Namam karmani limpanti nami karma phalispriha iti mam yo vijanati karma bhirna sa badhyate. Yes, Prakriti Mataji, please.
Hey Krishna, there is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands the truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Back to you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. I think we discussed this point in the last week also, the difference between Jiva and the Supreme Lord. The Jiva, we don't choose where I want to be born, which country I want to be born, which set of parents I want to be born. We are under the grip of the modes of nature and the external energy. But Krishna, Mammaya, he chooses. He is not entangled amongst the fruit of his action reaction, right? He is transcendental to all these. So he's above all these. He's rather the creator of all these things, and the creator is always superior to the creation, right? The creator is always superior to the creation. So one who understands this does not become entangled as well. Very nice. Iti mam yo bijananti. One who understands the science, that the same way, text 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam, quite similar. Janma karma cha me divyam. Here we are talking about the karma of the Supreme Lord. That no work affects me, the Supreme Lord is saying. It is all transcendental. Evam yoveti tattvataha. One who understands that tattva, the science of action and the birth and the action of the Supreme Lord, it is transcendental. He may act like a cowherd boy. He may act like an ordinary child. He may act like an ordinary crying baby, asking for help, asking for milk, asking for butter. But it is all transcendental. So understanding this, that means those devotees, those pure souls, they will also not take birth again. They will also become disentangled from the fruits of their work. In short, one who knows Krishna will transcend these activities, the law of karma. There's a very nice point here in the purport. So let's read that. Someone wants to read this section? Yes, Anita Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. Hare Krishna.
So like imagine the company, like in a big company or there's a classic example. One time a very wealthy person was giving like langar, langar, like free distribution of prasadam. So naturally there was a long queue in India, a lot of people they don't have the facility of getting the daily food easily, and therefore ISKCON is distributing millions of prasadam plates practically every day throughout the country and even the subcontinent, not only in India but also Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, etc. So I think devotees have already done a lot of arrangements to help. But if you would like to do, and if you would continue to want to do to support those initiatives, you are highly encouraged and it is recommended. But the point is, yeah, this big person was doing a langar, and hundreds of people had assembled in a queue because to proper organize, there was a big line. Now this person came and wanted to see how the things are going on. And when you're in a queue waiting for 30-40 minutes, you don't want anyone you want the queue to move fast, and you don't want anyone to come in front of you, right? Has anyone experienced that anytime in any queue? And you feel frustrated when anyone cuts to the line and say, has anyone done that? Like join the line in the middle and then the people behind are feeling frustrated. So this person was talking to some people in the line in the middle, and was just wanting to understand how things are going, and the people behind and thought that this person is trying to cut through in the line, and said, no, don't try to get in. We have been waiting for like 30 minutes. You can't go in. You have to go at the back. So the point was that the proprietor, it's like a low grade happiness. He has like tons of plates of prasad. He's the one who's hosting the whole show. But these people are feeling that, he's also trying to get through and cut through the line, and we have been waiting. Rather, he's the one who's running the show. Right? So Supreme Lord is the one who enables demigods to fulfill the desires of the people. There are so many examples in the Bhagavatam, the demigods approaching to help, to seek for help for the Supreme Lord. So many exampps. Govardhan Lila is a classic example. Samudra Manthan Lila, so many examples. Lord Shiva gave boon to Bhasmasura, and then he had also the Bhasmasura ran behind Lord Shiva to put hand on his head, that whoever, the boon was given on whosoever head you put your hand upon, that person will be roasted to ashes. And then this person, Bhasmasura, wanted to put hand on the head of Lord Shiva to roast him, to burn him to ashes. And Lord Shiva came and asked for help to Lord Vishnu. So the point is that the Supreme Lord is again transcendental to all these. There is no work that affects him. And those who know that, they also become transcendental to these. Another very, very important point here. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. So sometimes people say, "Dunya banane wale, kahe ko dunya banai, kya tere man mein samai." People say, "Why you made this miserable world, so much suffering?" It's not like that. The living entity is responsible for his own acts, in the sense that whatever we choose, we have a choice. Human life is a life of choice, from B to D, birth to death, and in between B and D comes the C of choices. So the kind of choices we make, the kind of future we are paving for our own self. Krishna bholi se jeev anadir bahir mukh, atev maya tare de samsara dukh. Krishna bholi se jeev. When the jiva forgets Krishna, maya tare de samsara dukh. In other words, it's very, very similar that the maya grabs the jiva like a cat grabs the rat. Why? Forgetfulness of Krishna, the root cause of all problems. Forgetting Krishna, jiva remains bahirmukh, away from Krishna. If I turn my face away from the sun, then it's not sun's problem, it's my problem. Then I will see the shadow of darkness. But if I turn my face towards the sun, then I will see the light of Krishna consciousness. So, again, very, very important point. The Lord only facilitates through the agents of the material nature, the external energy. So very, very important. So now who is acting? Is the jiva acting? So jiva desires, the Lord sanctions, and through the material nature it happens. That's a cycle of action and reaction. Krishna does not involve in our tiny affairs of action and reaction. Through the material nature, this is going on. Through his energies, it's going on, the external energy. Let's see the next one. Well, but one who is in Krishna consciousness, who knows the supreme truth, is liberated soul fixed in Krishna or pure bhakti, devotee of the Lord. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvai api mumukshubhi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. Someone wants to read this translation? Yes, Kant Prabhu.
All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So the formula how to become liberated. We have to follow the path of great souls. Very, very nice point here. That if we follow the path, all the liberated souls in the past or the ancient times, with this understanding, what understanding? That Krishna is above all these things and pure devotees are also above all these things, then we will become also transcendental. So in short, akarma, which we will study now. So basically Krishna wants Arjuna to fight in proper knowledge of Krishna's position. And when one does that, one will become a non-doer, or one will become detached from the fruits, and one will become disentangled from the reactions. So this is the essence here. Some of them are full of polluted material things in their heart, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both persons. In short, bhakti is for everyone. Let's see this one here. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved. So a neophyte may, just say after coming maybe 1 or 2 years or spending some time hearing some philosophy, will say, well, I just chodo ghar bar chalo Haridwar, or just leave everything, go to Haridwar, go to Rishikesh, Vrindavan. But this is not the goal. We have discussed that point multiple times. Renunciation in action, not of action. So one needs to know how to act. And how do we know? By following the previous examples, by following the Guru Parampara system. So here he's referring to sun god, Vivaswan. So Krishna is recommending that you follow how Sun God did. Sun God is also doing his responsibility dutifully. If Sun God says, well, I just want to retire, what will happen to all of us, right? We need the sun, right? For so many, we discuss how much we are dependent on the sun, who is a devotee of the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada mentions all such students of Lord Krishna, it means all of us, right, are mentioned here as past liberated souls engaged in the discharge. Actually, this is referring to the previous acharyas or the previous students who received this science of Krishna consciousness, are engaged in proper discharge of their duties allotted by Krishna. Very nice point. That means they're not acting whimsically. They're not saying, oh, I will do what I want to do. Oh, I will give sun rays when I want to do. Or I will get up late, or sun doesn't get up late. He's always on time. So let's see this 16th verse now, which tells action and inaction and inaction in action. And this basically, from this point, from text number 16, we come to the next acronym, that is the R, the next letter of the acronym, EAR. R is for renunciation. Renunciation not of the action, but in action. That means we will learn about akarma, which we have already discussed in chapter 2 and 3. But since it's an important, very, very important concept and very, very, area where we can get confused or have misconceptions, when a teacher like Supreme Lord is repeating it multiple times, what does it mean? That means it's very, very important for us to understand that. So let's study this. Kim karma kim akarmeti kavayopi atra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yagyatva mokshase shubhat. Who wants to read this one? Who hasn't yet read? Anyone?
Me, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please.
Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Hare
Krishna. So many people are confused, bewildered. Even intelligent people are bewildered. Therefore, Krishna is repeating this point again and again. What is action? What is inaction? Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. Very, very important point. Not whimsically. Not whimsically. Not what I feel like. Today morning, I was hearing a lecture of my spiritual master, and he was mentioning that one time someone approached Prabhupada and asked Prabhupada, should I do this? Prabhupada said, no, don't do this. Very, very clear. This will be very detrimental for you. And guess what? This person exactly did what Prabhupada told not to do. And he was asking, Prabhupada, I want to just go to Mayapur or Vrindavan, somewhere holy place, and just be there. And what justification? He said that actually Prabhupada wants me to do that or go to Vrindavan. But if he just openly tells me, then everyone will follow that. So to set the right example, or to not tell to anyone else in front of the whole class, he told me like this. But I know Prabhupada, I have a special relationship with Prabhupada, but all he wants me to do is what he didn't say in the class. This is how Maya can trap us. The spiritual master, the Jagat Guru, is telling face to face, don't do this. But this person had his own idea, his own concoction, and interpreting the word of the spiritual master. And guess what? He did totally what was not told. In a couple of months, he was totally, out of track. But the point is, in accordance with the previous acharyas, accordance with the words of the Guru Sadhu Shastra, not whimsically. Bhakti means to not act whimsically. In the previous chapters, we have act military discipline, right? In the military, they cannot say, well, I will make my own rules, or I will do things my way, right? So one has to follow the previous authorities. In the life of disciplic succession, we are called Rupa Anugas, Prabhupada Anugas. Following Anuga means Anugaman, means to follow. Anugaman, we have to follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Das, 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 anudas. So that will lead to the success. So this is the point here. Anyone who follows the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. Anyone who follows the footsteps of pure devotees, Arjuna is one of them, Sri Prabhupada, and many others, will not be in the proper line of disciplic succession. So we have that privilege, and that's what we are trying to do, right? To follow the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada and his pure devotees in the line of Rupa, Raghunatha, the Shad Goswami, the Brahma Madhav Gaudi Sampradaya, which is there. So we are so fortunate actually. We have access to that great line of Guru Shishya Parampara. All we have to do is to do our part. If we do our part, it's not a question of if, it's a question of how sincerely we take it, and then the perfection will be there. So it's mentioned so clearly here. We will not be bewildered and we'll get to the topmost destination. Okay, no one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. Very important point. So the path is to follow the acharyas, to follow the great souls. Okay, so let's see what say. Next verse, text 17. Karmano yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodhavyam ghana karmano gatihi. Who has not yet read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, please, Mataji, sure.
The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So now, some people try to understand this. Well, I didn't do anything wrong in this life. Then why I lost my dear one? Or why I'm getting this health problem? Or why I lost my job? I have been nice to everyone. Right? It is a common asked question. Why do bad things happen to good people? And on the contrary, someone will ask, well, look at that person. He's a robber, he's a criminal, he's doing all bad things, but he has a nice home, nice family, nice wealth, nice cars, and he seems to be so-called enjoying. Right? Have you seen such people, such contradictions around? This is the answer. Gahana karmana gatihi. It's very, very complex, not of action and reaction. So the reaction to the actions which we are receiving in the present, are they of this life? Are they of the previous second, or the previous minute, previous year, previous decade, previous lifetime, 100 lifetimes back, 100 kalpas back, 100 days of Brahma back, or 100 million yojanas back? How, when, what time frame are we receiving the reaction? Good luck trying to find that out. If anyone can figure that out, one will just, explode analysis by paralysis by analysis. So rather than trying to understand that this reaction is of what time frame back in the history, we should focus more on the solution rather than trying to figure out why I am getting this reaction. We know from the scriptures because of the past karma. That's sufficient for us. We don't need to trace it, whether it's 10 lifetimes back or 100 lifetimes back or 10 minutes back. A devotee always feels that whatever I'm receiving is only a tiny portion of what I'm supposed to receive. If someone gets a finger cut, one feels that, oh, my whole hand was to be chopped off. I only got just a tiny finger cut. If someone gets some stitches, well, feel, well, I was, this was my last day, but somehow Krishna just gave me a minor stitches. So a devotee is always grateful, tolerant, and does not try to do so much analysis why it's happening. Rather, tries to take that opportunity that Krishna is giving me more chance. Krishna saved me from this danger. Krishna is giving me one more chance to become more sincere in the path of bhakti. So we should not also over spend our time and energy in trying to understand this Gahana Karmana Gatihi. Very, very difficult to understand. This, the classic example is given of Dhritarashtra. He had 100, he first accumulated the by doing a lot of pious activities and charity and stuff. He accumulated the pious credits to get 100 sons. But then he had also killed way back at some 100 lifetimes back or some lifetimes back, he had killed a serpent who had 100 children. So, and then as a result, he lost his 100 children. But this is just an example. And there are multiple such examples in the past how those reactions are carried forward. So someone may be so-called enjoying, so-called killing others, so-called, bribing the police and getting out of, but one cannot get out of the, the grip of material energy. One can bribe the police here and there and get out of the jail or give, some hire lawyers or whatever, and one can get out of the punishments of this world, but not of Krishna's universal government. Even in Bible it is said the mills of God grind exceedingly fine. That means every mustard seed will be ground very fine. All the, it will be nicely grinded. Now, well, someone can ask, well, I want to get out of the cycle of this action and reaction. And then we recently read the story of Prishradra, the son of Sudyumna, actually. Son of Sudyumna. Or this one. In Canto 9, it comes, chapter 2. He had accidentally killed a cow. He was trying to protect a cow, but it was very, very dark. A tiger had caught this cow. He was trying to kill the tiger so that the cow could be saved, but accidentally he killed the cow. And he was very remorseful of that. He was not, it was not his intention. So Krishna says, Apisit Suduracharo, Bhajate Mamananya Bhak Sadhureva Samantavya Samyak Vyavastito Hisa. If an accidental fall down is there, then one should consider one as sadhu. But his guru Vashishta took it, too seriously. He said, you'll become a Shudra in the next life. But it is said that he did so intense bhakti that he did not have to take next life. So what does it tell us? That by rendering pure bhakti, not only the previous past karma will be burnt to ashes, the present. So one will not have to take any accumulated karma, present karma, past karma. Rather, in this lifetime only, after the end of this body, one will be able to go back to Godhead, provided one does sincere bhakti. That is a karma. A karma. One should know properly what action is. So it's very important what action is, what forbidden action, bad action, which will lead to bad results, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, harming others, looting others, etc., which will lead to bad reaction and inaction. So karma, vikarma, and akarma. Okay, any other comments here? Let's take one more verse for today. Karmani akarmaya pashyed akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sa yukta kritsna karma krit. Yes. Mataji, please. Sampada Mataji.
Hare Krishna. One who sees inaction in action and action in
in inaction, is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Hare Krishna, back to you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Is it confusing? Okay, who will tell? What does it mean, inaction in action? Anyone like to try from your understanding or what we have discussed so far?
Nishkama karma.
Nishkam karma yoga. Very nice. Any examples?
Doing your duty and surrendering results to Krishna.
Very nice. So for example, if someone is a housewife and taking care of the family, taking care of the offering bhoga to the deities, giving prasadam to the family, so she is doing action, correct? But if the focus of those, all the action is to please Krishna, to serve Krishna and to serve others as a dependence of Krishna, as they are the child of God, my family is the children of God, therefore I must take care of devotees, serve Vaishnavas, etc. So a lot of action is going on. But will it lead to entanglement of reactions? Who will say yes or no? Say no. Yes or no? No, right? It won't lead to entanglement. Rather, it will lead to transcendental stage of pure bhakti eventually. So action is going on, but there is no entanglement. So therefore, it's called inaction in action. Is it okay? Or it's still confusing? So inaction in action. That means devotional service in short. So devotional service does not mean. So basically, we can say this is the internal mood. The external is this. Action is external, but detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna internally leads to inaction of all the actions one may do. Okay, so any act of devotional service. Now, what does action and inaction mean? Anyone? Too confusing? Okay, so same here as we did. Inaction is external. Like action was external. That means the person is not doing action. Correct? But internally, there is a lot of attachment to materialistic things and no attachment to Krishna, which will lead to a lot of actions. Now, example could be a pseudo renunciate. A pseudo renunciate may say, well, I'm just going to forest, right? So externally, that person may not be doing a lot of actions, correct? But in the heart, there is a lot of attachment to lust, anger, greed, envy, thinking about money, thinking about women, thinking about other big things. So external inaction, but internal so much attachment to things, to the matter, and no attachment to Krishna, is a lot of action is happening. So that inaction, is it leading to results? Is it leading to entanglement in material world? What do you all say? Yes? Very nice. So what do we have to follow? We have to follow the first part, or do we have to follow this part? First part, yes. So that means externally we don't have to stop the action. Rather, we have to figure out the formula to make it in action internally. And that is through attachment to Krishna, or making it an act of devotion. And that's why you are all so intelligent, men and women. Those who understand this science, that bhakti is not about becoming pseudo-renunciate. Bhakti is not about becoming a pseudo means false, or stopping activities and just, bhakti means lot of, like Hanuman. Hanuman was doing action. Hanuman was doing lot of action, but inaction in action, always attached to Lord Ram. Always attached to the thinking about his beloved Lord Ram and Mata Sita for their service. Not thinking I am the doer, not thinking I am the enjoyer of these actions. It's all for Krishna's pleasure. And that person, he is in transcendental position. That person, although engaged in all sorts of activities, like Srila Prabhupada. Some people say, don't go to, cross the ocean and this and that. Don't do these actions. Don't sit in the car. Don't count money. Prabhupada did all those things. Thousands of disciples, thousands, hundreds of temples, thousands, lot of action he did. But always transcendental, although engaged in all these actions. This is Bhakti Yoga actually. This is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. Not to just stop doing activities, but rather to stop the cycle of action and reaction. To do inaction, inaction. When no material attachment is there to the activity, then that's inaction and action. Because there is spiritual attachment. There's no material attachment, spiritual attachment for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Guru. So one will not be entangled in the modes of material nature. One will not be taking janma karma cha me divyam evam yovati tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti suarjana. One becomes transcendental. So one is not accumulating more reactions to the cycle of birth and death. And Prabhupada makes one mind, the sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune, so beautiful line, to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. We can meditate upon this. Would someone like to read it again? Yes, Vedi.
The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. Hare Krishna.
Nowadays, we love talking a lot about immunization, right? So this is the process to immunize from all sorts of reactionary elements. And what is that? I am Jivana Sarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Now, when the servant acts for the pleasure of the master, then no reaction. But when the servant thinks, I am the independent doer, I am the independent enjoyer, master, then there is a problem. That we have to always remember. Eternal servitorship. It's not that in spiritual world we will become the master, right? So we have discussed a lot of points here. So anyone has any comments, questions, reflections, additions? Let's take in the last 5-10 minutes we have. We can take some thoughts, comments here, any reflections. Anyone wants to say something? Ask. Yes, Aparna, please. Yeah, I can't really hear you. I think the voice is breaking. If you could type in.
Are you able to hear now?
Oh yeah, that's better.
Being aligned to Krishna consciousness in this turmoil time, I do feel that in this material world, that one is immunized or vaccinated to get liberation from this material world.
Thank you.
That is
for sharing your reflections. And that's so true, actually. That's so true because we don't know what's coming next. Yesterday, my brother told that his friend, close friend, was, passed away, hit and run by a car, right? It's so sad to hear those things, but this is the truth of the world. So true that we have to always act in this action, in action, or Krishna consciousness. Thank you. Anyone else has any other reflections, comments, questions?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. One simple Hare Krishna Prabhu, is pronunciation in action of an action, right, Prabhuji?
Would you say that again? I missed it. Can you please repeat? Nikant Prabhu, you're on mute. Can you please unmute and repeat? Prabhu, you're on mute.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. I was asking about the line you said, renunciation in action, but not of action, right, Prabhuji?
Correct. That means you should not stop doing the activities, rather stop the cycle of reactions of those actions. That means when we have the spirit of eternal servitorship, then there will be no more reactions of those actions. Rather, there will be only transcendental reaction, which is back home, back to God. And that's what we're all aspiring for.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. It's the only thing I have.
Anyone else wants to say anything else or any other reflections? Everyone should at least say one thing which you liked. Otherwise, it'll be very hard to even remember, right? So we should think, okay, what's the one thing which really struck me? Let's hear from few devotees. Please tell. Sampada Mataji, what struck you? Everyone should tell quick. You can also type in if it's like a one-liner or something. You can type in, or you can, few devotees can speak. Yes. Tell.
We have to act like a servant of the of Krishna. Like we have to follow the footsteps of the great Mahajans or the great Vaishnavas. That struck me.
Wonderful. That's so nice. We have to follow the great Mahajans. In text number 15, right? We discussed that we have to follow their footsteps. Purva kritam. Purvai purvataram kritam. You don't have to concoct new things. Very nice. Mishuk, Prabhu, you want to say what inspired you or what struck you, what you learned? Karthik Prabhu. Okay, anyone wants to say?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, devotees. One thing that struck me, Prabhu, was when you mentioned about, so as an example, like, if we have access to the CEO or if we have access to the president of a country, or like, CEO of an organization, and if you want to get something done, then, you don't go to your manager or your lead. So in the same way, we don't have to go to a demigod, or approach demigod for anything, because, we have access to Krishna, and, Krishna knows what we need. So as long as we beg demigods, and to this, like to give bhakti towards the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, I think that's the best prayer that anybody can do to the demigod. So
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And that's the in the E, eternal education, eternal Bhagavad Gita. A is accurate understanding. This is one of the very important points in understanding and clarifying all those misconceptions. And the R is removing the reactions, which we are studying. 16th to 24 verse talk about this. So how to remove the reactions of activity, or in short, inaction. Sorry, inaction. Very nice, Karthik Prabhu. Thank you. Okay, so it's almost 7 p.m. Eastern, so we will pause here. Again, my deepest gratitude to all of you for giving this chance to study Bhagavad Gita together. And remember Krishna, remember the previous acharyas, remember the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence for the soul, and the formula to immunize us. What is the formula to immunize? To read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam regularly. This is the way to immunize ourselves. If we don't do so, we will get entrapped of the material infections, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. Very, very difficult, very, very dangerous. So we have to regularly give this booster dose of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and holy name. Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vancha Kripa Sindhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.